Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy, and thanks for joining us today, December 1st, on No Greater Delight, our podcast on Marian feasts and Marian meditations. Well, today we have a great number of feasts that we're celebrating. The first, Father Orsini points out, is Our Lady of Ratisbon in Bavaria, Germany, and then also Notre Dame de Puy-les-Dômes in France. What exactly this feast refers to is unclear. There is the veneration of Notre Dame du Port in Puy-les-Dômes, Auvergne, France. There's also sometimes called the Cathedral of Notre Dame de Puy, which is one of the oldest Marian sanctuaries in Europe. People have been coming there since the 5th century. It seems that there is an image that's been venerated from that time, more or less, a black Madonna. What it is exactly, we don't know the whole story. It seems that the image that is venerated now in the church is a copy made in 1734 from a statue from the 1200s, which itself is said to be a copy of an even earlier image that could date maybe back to the 500s when the shrine originally started. The reason why there's a shrine there in the first place is that it was built at the request of the Virgin Mary. She appeared to a sick woman who was ill with a fever, and the woman had laid down to pray for recovery on a particular stone, which they now call the fever stone. And so what happened? Well, according to one tradition, Saint Vossi, aided by an architect, Saint Scruter, both also a saint and also a bishop, built a sanctuary, and it housed this special stone on which the woman laid down, right? And the church itself was built on the ruins of a former pagan temple, right? It also says that this has been a center of pilgrimage, this site, long before the time of Charlemagne, right? It's said because as early as the 6th century, pilgrimages from Le Puy to Santiago de Compostela were already beginning, right? It became one of the starting points for one of the 4 main pilgrimage routes. So it's a very important site. And we can also cite, too, a particular miracle. For instance, one that's fairly well documented is in 1614, that it was very, very cold. It was a very bitter winter, starting from Martinmas, November 11th, all the way to Easter. Even by May, there were no buds or grass. And of course, in 1614, that means there's going to be a famine. So what did they do? Well, local civic leaders and the priests conferred, and they said that they would bring out Our Lady of the Port in procession, like the image. So it was a 4-hour procession on the day of the Ascension, May 15th. And the next day, the very next day, the weather grew milder. And the following days, it was very beautiful. The harvests were excellent that summer, and even more abundant the following year. And so, for that reason, the bishop ordered an inquiry, to make note of everything. And then he declared that the feast of Notre Dame du Port would take place on May 15th in the parish and be observed as a day of rest. Well, we jump over from Europe over to the Philippines, where in Cainta, Philippines, they celebrate Our Lady of Light, right? So the Jesuits began the construction of this original church in Cainta in 1707. The church, which was placed under the patronage of St. Andrew the Apostle, was completed in 1716. Now, why is there a devotion then in this church of St. Andrew to Our Lady of the Light, also known as Madre Santísima del Lumen, Nuestra Señora de la Luz, Virgen in Kaliwanganga, and Maria Inaing Kaliwanganga? Well, because the Jesuits brought a painting in 1727 from Sicily, right? And the painting was a very beautiful rendition of an Italian visionary's account of the Blessed Mother's apparition, right? So Mary was depicted as mother, protector, and queen. So what happened? Well, unfortunately, the parish was like in the height of the Filipino-American War. The church and the image was destroyed. That's March 1899. Nothing was done for 70 years. It just kind of remained in ruins. But in the mid-60s, 1960s that is, the Archbishop Cardinal of Manila asked the director of the National Museum of the Philippines whether they could rebuild the church on its original site. And so they did. They started working in 1965. An earthquake in 66 kind of stopped the work, but then they redesigned it to be more earthquake-proof. And finally, the church was completed on February 28th of 1968. So what do you do? Because the image was destroyed. Well, they asked the Filipino national artist Fernando Amorsolo to paint an image of Our Lady of Light using a prayer card. And so he, kind of made his little image, right? And he added a sort of local touch by giving Filipino features to the faces in the painting, right? So Our Lady of Light is venerated as the patroness of reconciliation and those seeking conversion. And interestingly enough, her feast is celebrated on December 1st, one day after the feast of St. Andrew the Apostle. This image was canonically crowned in 2018. 1218 is even before the image was painted, in 2018, which makes it exactly the 38th canonically crowned Marian image in the Philippines, and the 4th in the Diocese of Antipolo alone. Last, we're going to jump back over to Europe, and we have Maria Santísima de la Paz in Torre Don Jimeno, Jaén, Andalusia, Spain. It's also a fairly recent devotion. In 1987, the sculptor Juan Ventura carved a cedarwood statue of Saint Mary of Peace, Maria Santísima de la Paz, for the confraternity of the Most Holy Risen Christ. Right? On December 1st, 2007, the image was installed in the Paris church. Juan Ventura is one of these men from Seville who makes religious images. Right? And so the confraternity celebrates the Feast of Saint Mary of Peace in the parish church on January 24th. However, this is the day that it was installed in the parish. So for today, our reading from the Admirable Heart of Mary by St. John Eudes, we continue and actually finish the chapter where he discusses the sun as an image and symbol of Mary's Immaculate Heart. Take away the sun that enlightens our material world, says Saint Bernard, what will become of day or night? Day or light? Take away Mary, the star of the sea, or take away the heart of Mary, the true sun of the Christian world, and what would be left? Without Mary's radiance, nothing is left but enveloping darkness, the shadow of death, and the frightful night of the grave. Thus ends the quote from Saint Bernard. O excellent heart of my Queen, my most amiable Son, blessed are the hearts that love you. Happy the minds that meditate on your greatness, and the tongues that preach and praise you. Blessed are the eyes that contemplate you, O radiant Mary. The more they gaze on you, the greater their desire, the stronger the light and strength they receive to enable them to gaze yet more upon your dazzling light. O beautiful sun, enlighten our darkness, melt our frigidity, dispel the clouds and fogs of our minds, inflame our hearts with your sacred fire. Make us ever receptive to your sweet influence, that every Christian virtue may flourish in our souls, so that they may be rendered fertile in all kinds of good works. By your intercession, obtain that we may lead a holy heavenly life on earth, and never seek any joy here below, except the joy of the children of God, which consists in pleasing their heavenly Father and obeying his adorable will in all things. O radiant Sun, let our hearts become like clear and polished mirrors, and be pleased to impress your likeness on them, that they may bear a perfect image of your humility, purity, and submission to the divine will, as well as of your charity, love, sanctity, and all the other virtues and perfections of your admirable heart. This we ask for the glory of God, who made our hearts for himself alone. So for today's Marian meditation, taken from the book by Father Ildefonso Villar, we continue meditating on the Nativity of Mary. But also on this, we reflect on joy, particularly our joy, and the fact that Jesus is always preceded by Mary. Our own joy. And who, on realizing what has happened in the world, does not share this joy? Does not the heart of every man rejoice? Do you not feel it also within yourself? Do you not see that the darkness of death and sin, which once flooded your heart, has gone away, and that now there is a shining light which enlightens and guides you to your eternal destiny? That light which comes to you from Mary is Christ. She is the light of your life. Imagine the arid desert without flowers, without plants, without life. But take to it water. Very soon there will be palm trees bearing green branches and fruit. A barren vine may yield no fruit, but graft a healthy branch onto it, and it will produce rich and sweet grapes. That is the picture of your soul. An arid desert, a barren vine. If your vine bears fruit, it is because Christ has, by means of Mary, been grafted into you. If your soul is not barren, it is because our Blessed Lady has planted in your heart the sweet oasis of Jesus. Remember the little cloud of Elijah, a symbol of Mary, that brought fertility to a dry land. In the same way, Mary has rendered the earth fertile. Through her there have sprung up lilies of virginity, roses of love. The same will happen in your heart, but only with her and through her. Do not forget that. Without her, there is but barren land, dry desert, a withered branch. Why not rejoice at the nativity of Our Lady, a nativity so glorious and fruitful for your soul? Mary is always preceded by Jesus. Jesus is always preceded by Mary. Lastly, this birth reminds us of the most sweet truth, that Mary always goes in front of Jesus. God wanted that in nature the sun should not rise all of a sudden, but should be preceded by the clarity of dawn. He has made the same arrangement in the order of grace. He disposed that the Word made flesh should appear in the world only after having been heralded by the splendid dawn of the Maiden, the Queen of Angels, conceived without stain. God has so arranged that the Son of Justice, our Lord Jesus Christ, should not rise and shine in our souls without them having been previously visited by the Mother of all grace. He has decided that his kingdom should not be established in this world unless there be first set in it the throne of Mary. Mary is, therefore, the dawn of Jesus. Study Mary deeply. Love her filially in order to know and love Jesus. Examine yourself on this most important point. See whether you do everything with Mary and through Mary in order to please Jesus. Imitate Mary, empty your soul of yourself, and fill it with her, and thus be filled with that divine life which Jesus wishes to bring to your soul.
Hello, and we hope that you enjoyed listening to our Marian podcast. In the spirit of Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, we say to you that there is no greater delight than to spread the devotion of Our Lady. We hope you share these sentiments and encourage you greatly to share with a loved one. Know that you are always in our prayers, and we ask that you keep us in yours. God bless.